Get ready to find your recipe for a successful real estate lifestyle from America's top expert here at Greenlight REI with your host, Lance Edwards.
Well, everyone, welcome to this episode of Greenlight REI, where we teach you the successful real estate lifestyle. We've got a very, very special guest on a topic that is very relevant to what's going on at the time. Huge opportunity. It has to do with residential assisted living, and this touches everyone, either directly or indirectly. Either personally, at some point, we're going to need this ourselves, or our parents are needing it. But this is touching everyone. And so, our expert guest today is Mr. Gene Guarino, and he's the founder and president of Arielle Academy. So, Gene, welcome to this episode of Greenlight REI.
Thank you so much, Lance. Appreciate that.
You know, Gene, I was looking at what you're doing here. It's something I've tracked for a while. It's a phenomenal, fascinating niche. So let's start off a little bit of your background. What's your background, Gene, and what led you from that to get into assisted living?
Well, you know, my real estate background goes all the way back to when I was 18 years old. So that was a long time ago. You can tell from the white beard. But I was a professional musician as a teenager. We had a music school, recording studio, small record label. We were renting a building for 2 years from when I was 16 to 18. The landlord was bad and the property was worse. So we walked out on the front porch and we said, we're either going to shut this down or we have to move someplace new. And we looked up the street, saw a for sale sign, went up, grabbed the sign, brought it home, dialed the phone, rotary phone. Now you know how old I am. And that was the beginning of our real estate career. So we did fix and flip, buy and hold, small apartments, single family. And it wasn't until about 20 years ago when I heard about this niche, this residential assisted living, that my eyes were even open to it. And then 6 years ago is when I actually got into it.
Super. So let's start with some basics. And just from definition standpoint. So when you say residential assisted living, let's start off with a definition of that, if you don't mind.
Yep. Very specifically, residential meaning single family home, not apartments, not a hotel, not a strip center, single family home, residential neighborhood. Assisted living, it's not independent living where they take care of themselves. These are homes where there's caregivers 24/7, not medical, not doctors, not nurses, but 24/7 caregivers in a residential setting. So that's really what we focus on.
So how and why did you pick this niche of assisted living?
Well, being a baby boomer myself, and some of your listeners I'm sure can relate to that, the idea of, 20 years ago when I first heard about this, it was all about the money. The idea of the baby boomers are coming, what an opportunity. There was a guy in the front of a room, hundreds of people, and the guy was talking about all kinds of things. But 20 years ago when he mentioned baby boomers and what's coming in the future, I remember running up to the front and saying, tell me more. And he said, well, I can't. I don't actually do it. I'm just saying you should do it. And that was disappointing, but I couldn't find anybody who's willing to teach me how. And my interest kind of dropped. But then when the market really crashed, and in Arizona, we were really down big, and that was great. At that point, when the market really crashed, it also was coinciding with my mom needing help. And she was in upstate New York. I'm in Arizona, so thousands of miles away. We could not find a good solution for mom. I mean, it's either the kids kind of quit their job, put their life on hold, take care of mom, which my sisters ended up doing a lot of, or you hire somebody to come into the home, take care of her one-on-one, or you bring mom and put her into a home. And as soon as you say that, connotations come of a big institutional, you smell the neglect as soon as you walk through the front door kind of a place, and we didn't want that for mom. So since we couldn't find what we were looking for, I vowed to create it, a home that mom would be comfortable in, that I'd be proud to have her in, where she gets excellent care in a residential setting.
Super. Now let's okay. So for you entering into the business, Gene, are you or is your company providing the services, or are they providing the real estate? Someone else provide the services? How does the model work for you?
It kind of breaks down into two parts. So you have real estate over here, and then the business operations over here. So I do both, but anybody who's listening right now, whether you're doing apartments or single family home, you can own the real estate and you can lease it to the person who's operating the group home for the elderly. So I do it both, and I do it, this entity owns the real estate, this entity operates the business, it leases the real estate from here. And the real estate, if you just own it and lease it to an operator, you can charge anything you want. But I teach people that you can charge up to twice the market rent, with a long-term, low-impact tenant. Imagine a 5-year lease at twice the market rent. That's what we typically do when you lease the property to an operator.
So you are strictly, my definition of a special needs housing provider to, in this case, if you're going to a contractor, a service is doing it, you're getting premium rents because they need your property which to operate their business, and that's how you command the premium rents, correct?
If you do just the real estate portion, that would be correct. You own that property, get premium rents because it's the right home in the right area with the right renovations and so on.
All right, so we're going to talk about the business operation in a moment, but let me ask one other question. If I don't want to operate it myself, I just want to be the real estate provider.
Right.
So 2 questions. Number 1, is there a big need? Do these operators, don't they know how to go find their own real estate? So why do they need you? And then number 2, how do you find them?
Perfect questions. You are really good because that's exactly the right question. How do I find them? So first of all, when we train people how to do this, one of the big issues they have is the money, the finances to get the real estate. That's the biggest part of the equation. So let's just say you wanted to be that person who provides that real estate solution. You do need to find them. So they're sitting in our class, but you could approach somebody who's doing this now and saying, you have a home now, would you like to get another one? And a lot of them would, but they don't have the financial resources to do that second house. So that's another way to find these people. But I also want to make sure that everybody hears me. This is very different than just real estate. When you do just real estate, it's bricks and sticks, dirt and mud, a tenant. It's kind of simple and passive and so on. This over here, the business operations, is just that. It's a business, the group home for the elderly. And most people don't quite realize this, Lance, but when you go to a mall, a shopping center, you go to a store, the store doesn't own the real estate. They don't own the dirt. They're leasing it for a long term at really high rates because they're going to make a lot of money doing their store, their retail, their restaurant, whatever it may be. So it's the best of both worlds, real estate and business. And this over here, the business, is where you really make the big money.
All right, then let's talk about that. So we talk about the real estate side. So let's talk about the business operations side. What does that entail? And you're talking about big money. So let's talk about, some specifics for everyone. Gene?
Sure. So it's a home, so real estate, and it has 24-hour care, which means people. And if you were to ask me what's the biggest challenge, I'm going to say people, based in whether it's the resident, the family, the caregivers, the manager, but that right there is the biggest one right there, people. So we need a manager. My manager then hires the caregivers. The caregivers take care of the residents. So the manager fills the home with the residents, interfaces with the family, but that's the business operations side. From a financial side, right now in America today, the average private room in assisted living is $4,000 a month. $4,000 a month. In a home used for residential assisted living, you'll typically have 8, 10, 12, 16 or more people in that single family home. So let's use easy math. 10 people, 5 bedrooms, 2 people in a room. 10 people times $4,000 is 40,000 potential gross income. You're not going to be full all the time, so you have to vacancy, and then you have your expense of the caregivers and rent and so on and so on. By the time you're done, what you're looking at is netting somewhere between 20 and 30% of the gross income each and every month. So for an average home, 4,000, 10 beds, that 40,000 should net you $10,000 to $12,000 a month in profit.
Super. Now, okay, so you're renting by the bed, not by the bedroom, renting by the bed, basically, correct?
Correct, because you could have private rooms, doubles, and so on.
So in that context, there's a lot of similarity to student housing, which is you've rented by the smallest rentable area there is to get that premium rent. All right, so
yeah.
Go ahead. Do you want to add to that?
It is to an extent. The difference is, and think about that, student housing young, and they're there for temporary, a year, 2, 3, but they're definitely not old. They have to move in. They need the care, but you're right. Instead of one person in a room, but I do private rooms primarily. So we get a home, we add bedrooms to it. We have private rooms because we can charge more for that.
Oh yeah. So okay, so you get let's say $4,000 a month. So who's typically paying that? Is it the resident paying it? Is it the children paying it, or is there some other program subsidizes that rental?
Yeah, we do not focus on state pay. So Medicare and Medicaid, feds give money to the state creates a program that says, show me that you're of age, you don't have income or assets or limited, and we'll supplement that and get you to $2,000 a month. We don't focus on that because there's just not enough money and margin in that. So when we say $4,000 a month on average, most people that we deal with are paying $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month. Most of it comes from their own assets. So it's either Social Security, pension plan, liquidation of their home, their IRA, other investments. After that, it's the kids. So the kids are 40, 50, 60. They're supplementing it from their income or their assets. So private pay is just that. It's the private individual, whatever sources of that they have available to them is used to pay for that care.
All right. So you got me piqued, got my interest. I see this, I understand the opportunity. And are you limited to doing this in your own backyard, or could you have operations out, around the country?
Great question. And we do this, we train people from all over the country, but a lot of times somebody's in an area where it's maybe the real estate's really expensive, like they're in San Francisco and a single bedroom home with a loft is $1 million and it just doesn't make sense. Now you're going to charge more for your rates there, but they say, why don't I do it here in Arizona where I am, or do it in Nevada or someplace else? So you definitely can do this in what I'm going to call a hands-off basis. So I always ask people that question, do you want to be hands-on or hands-off? 9 times out of 10, they say hands-off. So I say, if that's your thought, you would probably be better off not having a property in your backyard. Because if it's next door, you're going to stop over every day. If it's 100 miles away, at least you have to make a plan. And if it's 1,000 miles away, you're going to fly there twice a year.
Well, I like that. So, all right. So we're talking about single family. Start off with single family. So a couple of questions related to that. Number one is, are there any, could you come across some municipal restrictions on running a group home like this? And number two, I'm a small apartment guy. Could I be doing this with small apartments to get even bigger bang for the buck out of the same real estate?
So there is no federal laws for this. Two, every state does have rules and regulations. Some are more clear and straightforward than others. Like Arizona, there's a few thousand of these homes. So there's a whole department and floors that you go to, and there's inspectors and the whole bit. And I like that because I know what the rules of the game are and how to play them. But other states have very few rules or not defined. But when you said, is there zoning restrictions? The answer is every state has rules. Then you get down to the local, then you get right down to the local neighborhood. HOAs, what I love about this too, is that the HOAs have zero clout. They can't say no because that's discriminatory. The Fair Housing Act works in our favor. They can't discriminate based on age and so on. And even if it says, well, in our CC&Rs, it says you can't operate a business, it's not. It's a group home for the elderly. So we can get past all of that. But the idea of how many people you can have at a home is one of those things. What does the home need to be like? What kind of safety features, grab bars, smoke detectors, maybe sprinklers or fire suppression is all part of that process. The other part that you asked was the question about, I forget what the second question was. Oh, apartments.
Small apartments.
Yeah.
Small apartments.
See, here's the thing. When you think about an apartment complex, each unit has a kitchen, a bathroom, bedroom, and so on. You only need one kitchen. So the idea of using even a small 4-unit, let's say, it's just a quad, it's kind of not the highest and best use to do assisted living in a group home basis because it's individual units. That's independent living. So I'm going to suggest that it's not for apartments, but here's your play. If you've got an apartment right now, the market right now, the whole world is flowing towards seniors and aging and so on. You might make your place senior friendly, maybe even senior focused, could be adults only. You could also convert some of the space inside there to be assisted living. So if you have 100 units and 10 of those units, you kind of open it up so it's just assisted living for 10 people, that might be a great play for somebody with apartments. But typically, single-family home residential setting is what we do. But I'm investing in projects all over the country that are using modifications of the assisted living, but it's still all about senior housing and taking advantage of the silver tsunami that's coming our way.
Right. All right, so I'll go back to something. So you mentioned you're doing it all over the country. Is your model for you personally, Gene, is it primarily, are you the operator in all instances, or in some cases you're the operator, in some cases you're contracting that out?
I want to be as hands-off as possible. All right. So I operate very differently, and I teach people how to do it this way, but you can be as hands-on as you want. So what that means is I own 3 of these homes. They're licensed for 10 beds each in Arizona. In those 3 homes that I quote unquote own and operate, I have an entity that owns the real estate, an entity that owns the business. In the business, I have a manager who pretty much takes care of everything down from there. So I am the owner and the business manager. My job is to manage the manager. She takes care of a lot of the minutia underneath. So that's what I do. The other investments that I have, I'm totally passive. So I've got money in, and it's a passive investment in maybe 80 units or 90 units, and somebody else is the operator. I'm an investor in.
All right, super. That'd be like my model, hands off. So I think that's the way to go. All right, so we talked about, okay, these are talking about the benefits of going single family. So I guess the larger the single family, the more economy of scale in that regard. Is that right?
Well,
more bedrooms.
Yeah. And here's the state. I'm going to give you the state minimums, then our kind of rule of thumb of how we do it. Most states around the country basically have state minimums that basically if you had about a 1,800 square foot house, you could have 10 residents in it in assisted living on a minimum required space basis. That's not what we do. Those homes exist, they're full, they got waiting lists, but that's not what we do. We do nicer homes, more upscale homes in nicer areas. So they might be 4 or 5 or 6,000 square feet. So my rule of thumb is 300 square feet per resident of living space. Very comfortable. That's not their bedroom. That their bedroom could be 12 by 12, right? Minimum size is 10 by 10, 100 square feet of usable floor space. But the bedroom is one part, but family room, kitchen, bathrooms, and all of the rest. If you have 300 square feet of living space per resident, very comfortable home.
All right, so let's talk about, this is great. So you got the model. So when it comes time to exit, you want to exit this business, and you own the business operations and you own the real estate side of it.
Right.
Obviously, you've created a lot of value now through that combination. So who are you selling to? Is there a play here to sell to some REIT? I mean, who are you going to be selling to on your exit strategy?
You are good, man, because that's another very astute question. And the answer is, there are tremendous exit strategies. So let me give you a few. Number one, you can sell the whole thing, the real estate and the business, to an individual that wants to get into this industry. Right now, there's about 30,000 of these homes across the country. The good ones, nobody wants to sell because they're massive cash cows. The bad ones, you may find them for sale, but they're too small, wrong location. It's a mom and pop business. You shouldn't do it. It just doesn't make sense. So if there's one that is for sale, that's a good business, it's valued properly and so on, those things are hot commodities. We have students who are looking to buy those all day long, all across the country. But the bigger play, and by the way, just one of these homes, if you think about a single family home, can generate $10,000 a month in income. Most people are set, they don't need to do anything else. But we teach the concept of doing a 3-pack. If you have 3 of these homes within a half hour, one management team, you get the economies of scale of the caregivers, the managers, and purchasing and so on. 3 homes in a 20, 30-minute radius, beautiful income, you're set. But we have some students that have a vision for doing 100 homes, 500 homes, 1,000 homes. And when you get to that level, now the big money, the REITs, they're big money that have massive money that want to get in to senior housing, and they're doing all they can to build the big box facilities. But at the point where you have 100 homes or 1,000 homes, now you're worth buying. They want to write a check for $250 million, not $2.5 million. So absolutely, that is a big play. You can do one, do a few, do thousands, and you can exit whenever you'd like. You can also sell just the business and lease the real estate back to them, or sell just the real estate and operate the business and lease it from them. So there's that flexibility too.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, you're talking about existing homes. You're not going out, or are you going out and also building houses or building larger structure to accommodate this?
Yeah, we have students that are doing everything from buying existing homes and businesses to buying homes that they now convert into and start the business, so start it from scratch, to they've got dirt and they're building the property and they construct it from scratch, all the way to 20 acres and they've got a planned community with these smaller homes inside it. So we're doing all of that.
Holy above. All right. So you've been talking about your students. So talk a little bit about Arielle Academy, Residential Assisted Living Academy. Explain Arielle Academy. You've been touching about it. Explain how that works, if you would, Gene.
Yeah, when I first got started, like I said, there was nobody to teach me how. I wish there were, but the people that I found had a mentality of, I'm not going to teach you, you're going to take my business. I'm like, there's millions of people that need this. There's 4,000 people a day turning 85. That's 1.4 million people this year will turn 85 years old. Hundreds of thousands of them need this kind of help. So I, on the other hand, have an abundance mentality. I have no problem teaching people how to do it. So as soon as I did my first one, I'm a teacher by nature, people came to me and said, will you show me how? And I said, yes. So we had small classes. Now we have much larger classes where they're literally coming from across the country. I do it in a 3-day format. The reason why I do 3 days is because we don't need to spend 3 years or 3 months. I can do a download, a data dump, an immersion training in 3 days' time. So you know what to buy, where to do it, how to fix it, who to hire, how to put it together, so you can be up and running and off. So the 3-day training we now do 8 times a year. It's always in Phoenix, Arizona. The big reason why we do it here, not only is it beautiful weather, but a big part of it is coming to see my homes, see behind the curtains, the context for the content. And that's where the aha moment comes, where people see it and they go, now I get it. It's not just a house and it's not just this. And they see it and they get it, they're inspired. Then they go back and they do it in their own city, or some of them just buy a home right here in Arizona and do it here.
and so, okay, so you're educating, and I understand that. That's business model. I understand that business model. We do the same thing. And by the way, you're right in the abundance mentality. People say, Lance, why are you teaching small apartments? Are they going to compete with you? Do you know how many buildings there are in this country? I mean, exactly. Come on. But so I like that. But it sounds like you're also doing some matchmaking, because you've got people that are either looking for properties, looking for an operator, or to buy a business, and they are all in your network and probably all in your classroom simultaneously, I imagine. Is that right?
Yeah, and I teach the own the real estate and own the business, but you're absolutely right. There's some people sitting in that room that are saying, I just want to own the real estate. Connect me with or show me how to find that tenant who's going to operate the business and lease my home from me. Most of the people that I work with are smart enough to realize I should own the real estate and the business, but we'll show you how to find that person who wants to operate the business, be your tenant, or potentially a partner with you. You bring the real estate to the table, they operate the business. So the answer is yes.
And it seems to me, if you're out for people that are out buying houses, if they're doing it, kind of the traditional way, they're duking it out with everyone trying to buy a house at a low price right now. And but with your model, you can afford to pay list price because you're going to get a much higher rent to begin with. Is that correct?
You are so good, man. That is exactly right. I don't want you to pay retail price, but it's okay, because we're not about the price of the real estate. It's the income stream that's coming in.
Right.
So the real estate's going to go up and down, and maybe worth 500 today and 800 tomorrow and 200 the next. It doesn't matter. It's the 10 grand a month, the 15 grand a month, the 30 grand a month of cash flow. It doesn't matter what the asset's worth. Very good point.
Yeah, excellent. All right. So for someone listening right now, how much experience does someone need to get started in residential assisted living? And how much time do they need to devote, be able to commit to this?
So number one, you do not need to have any medical background at all. So you don't need to be a doctor, a nurse, or stay in a Holiday Inn and pretend you are, right? Don't need that at all. We've had lots of people come through our class that are everything from hedge fund managers on the top, people that own literally thousands of units across the country, down to people that have just come out of high school and they're coming through learning something. So any experience, no matter what. But if you have some background in real estate and you're looking for something bigger, better, more, and being in the right place at the right time, perfect fit. If you're in business of any kind and you're looking for a business that is great now and for the next 20 years, this is great. And if you do have any inclination to help people or a medical bend or background, it's a beautiful fit for them as well, because there's so many people out there that want to get into this game and they have the money, but they need the education to do it. So it's a great fit for all of them. Don't need a lot of experience in this. We teach you how, no matter where you're starting from.
Perfect. Gene, it's been good. Listen, you've got first of all, I know you got some giveaways here, some free training, but what have I not asked you that I should have asked you? Are there any key points you wanted to make that I've not asked?
You are so good. I am serious because you have asked a tremendous amount of really, really great quality questions. I'm going to give you two. I do want to give you everybody this free introductory training, and I'll give you that in just a moment. Get ready to write it down. But I want to encourage you to do one thing: really find your passion. You know, I'm a little bit older, and it looks like you might be my age as well. The point is, find something you love and that you want to do. And making money is great, but the older I get, the less important it is. It's about what you leave behind. Our motto is do good and do well. The do well means make a lot of money. The do good means doing it for your family, for you, for your community, something that you're going to leave behind. So I really want to encourage everybody to find their passion. And then the last piece, before I give you this website, very simple, you're going to get involved in assisted living one way or the other. You're either going to own a real estate, operate the business, or you or a family member is going to be lying in a bed writing a check to somebody who does. So you may as well make your best choice. So here's the free training. Go to RAL101, RAL101.com. It's a free introductory training right there. Love to share that with you. Call us if you have any more questions. Come to our website, learn more. That's RALacademy.com. So love to share with you. If you'd like to learn more, we're here for you.
All right, everyone. So let me play this back. Of course, we'll put it on the show notes when we post this. Got RAL101.com. That's your free training. More about Gene's business, RALacademy.com. Right, Gene?
Correct. Yeah, perfect.
Gene, this has been fantastic, man. I really I applaud, commend you for what you're doing. You've got a great business model. Obviously, you're on a great idea. You do have the wave coming through here, and congratulations. Thank you for putting together such a fabulous program.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right. So, everyone, this is Lance Edwards. Now, remember, for this archive, you listen to the recording, go to greenlightreinvesting.com, greenlightreinvesting.com. We'll have the show notes on there. We'll repeat the links that Gene gave out so you can avail yourself of their resources. And until the next session, make yourself a successful real estate lifestyle. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
You've been listening to The Expert with Lance Edwards. Let us now blatantly and shamelessly bribe you toward creating your own real estate lifestyle by offering you a whole bunch of free stuff. Go to greenlightreinvesting.com and get you some free stuff and this session's show notes.